like streetlights, yeah. One look and we're on again. Hearts racing, can't pretend. This danger's what we defend. Don't stop, don't speak. We're crossing every line. Clock ticks, heartbeat. We're running out of time. Go! We're alive tonight. Into the fight. No turning back now. Go, go, go. Drilling through my veins, breaking all the chains. Fast cars, rooftop lanes, dancing with the flames. Don't stop, don't speak. We're crossing every line. Clock ticks, heartbeat. We're running out of time. Go! We're alive tonight. Into the fight. No turning back now. Go, go, go.
Hello and welcome to the grand finals of the Gran Turismo Virtual Endurance Championship by Mach25 Gaming. I'm Flesh Dagger, your host and commentator for this evening's event. We'll be taking you through some of the build-up, qualifying for the race in 20 minutes time, and obviously the race itself, where we will crown our champion of the Virtual Endurance Challenge 2026, getting the season underway. We'll have a quick look at some of the previous races, the results leading up to tonight's grand finals where the champion will be crowned, and also a little bit more of an in-depth look, as we did before, at the combo itself, what we have in store from the car, the track, the settings for the race, and some of the possible strategies. But also, what are the points on offer, who are the contenders, and what are the implications for the championship. Now, thanks very much. A few of you have shown up. We've got Jackson, aka Fitzy, big fan of the shorts, and Gracie in the chat. Good to see you all. Hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to seeing this one out. So what's happened in the championship so far, and where exactly are we? Well, we're going to have a little look at the points classification as it stands after round 4. If you were watching on Monday evening, you were in for something very, very special. It was an absolutely outstanding race where Vanquish Esports, Mumu Mikolai Sejak took the win from Kraken Stains Customs GT, Sigma in third place. All of them achieved their points, but also an additional 2 bonus points, which has brought them to this final position. Where it all started was around about 4 weeks ago with a pre-qualification round at Willow Springs, Streets of Willow. It was the Isles Esports team took the top time. They've made it through to the grand finals. Round 1 of the race was Big Willow, representing in the Nissan Fairlady, outplayed Racing's Alu, Isles Esports, J. Carrillo. They picked up wins in their respective groups. Then it moved on to Gilles Villeneuve for round 2 of racing in the Corvette C5. Charles, who we have racing tonight, and Kraken Stains Rule taking the group wins, with Kraken Stains was our points leader leading into the round 3 at Tokyo Expressway. A big win for Aliens Mehdi Hafidi in the Alpine A110, put them into contention and got them into the first of the final rounds, which was a Monday evening in the Porsche Carrera GT 2004 at the Yas Marina. It was an absolutely outstanding race over 90 minutes. A convergence of different strategies and different times, and if you haven't seen it and you know the result already, you can still go back and enjoy it. It was something to behold. But it's left us in this position where 14 teams have qualified leading into the finals, and with 25 points on offer for a win. Really, mathematically, anyone in the top 5 or 6 can win this and take the overall victory. With Mumu picking up the 27 points on Monday evening, they are now in joint first place with Kraken Stains on 72 points apiece, which means that any of them who wins the race will win it outright. But Customs GT, ironically, are 6 points behind, which means an outright win for them tonight in the race, with a 7-point delta, 25 points for first and 18 points for second. That would give them the win. Even if Vanquish or Kraken were to finish in second place, they'd win it by a point. But anything can happen, and realistically, looking at the board, it's really anyone in the top 4 or 5 can claim victory overall in tonight's proceedings. So if we'll have a little look for tonight, I think you can see it's really anyone's there to be had. The point buffer is obviously going to be very, very important. And what I've done is during the race is created an overlay where we can see these points as they stand going into the race, into the grand final, but I'll also have the points available for each position. So while we're doing the race, you can work out exactly what the points implications are and what it means for where they might finish up in the championship, provided with an asterisk that there are no complaints or anything that needs to go to adjudication after the fact. So that leads us on to tonight's race, which is going to be our grand finals race. I think even more tricky than the one on Monday, and it's going to take place in the Ferrari F8 Tributo at Brazil's historic Interlagos racetrack. So we'll just have a little look at that. Look, it's absolutely beautiful looking car. The Ferrari F8 Tributo 2019 was designed as a celebration of Ferrari's most powerful V8 engine with over 710 horsepower and 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds with a top end of 211 miles per hour. Now, when I was doing the sort of the build up in the car for Monday night of the Porsche GT Carrera, I was very complimentary of PD matching what the car was intended to be as a high performance supercar and really test and handling skills. This is some of the official blurb for the car from the website. It says it's an exceptionally fast car and offers incredible grip and balance, making it surprisingly accessible for its performance, and features the latest side slip angle control for improved handling. Well, I can tell you right now, this incarnation of it in a digital format, that's absolute nonsense. This is one of the hardest cars I've ever driven in the game. I don't spend much time driving road cars, and I can tell you that this thing is, in terms of just how unstable it is, particularly on the sports compound of tires, make it an absolute nightmare fuel. I've done some laps, as I did before Monday, just to get accustomed with the tires, and I can tell you now, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun at all. It really is incredibly twitchy under the throttle. It doesn't turn with any form of braking, and even in gearing as high as 5th gear, with the torque that it produces on the sports compound of tires, you can have snap oversteer. Even driving in a straight line and having some form of correction to bring you to the left-hand side of a track to set up a corner, you can oversteer. It is incredibly unstable, and I don't embellish that. I only want to bring that to you because what we will see on track will look pretty good, I imagine. But I do believe that this will play a big factor in tonight's race, which we'll talk about in some of the strategy in a moment. Now, the track itself, if we just have a little look at the track, is going to be... No, it's not that one. It's going to be, if I can find it, there, Interlagos. Now, Interlagos, as a track is steeped in history, but not just with F1, obviously in Gran Turismo, where Mikael Hazal won his World Championship in the GT Sport Nations Cup, but in Mach25 Gaming, even as recently as the 2025 GT Pulpy Elite Finals, it produced one of the best finishes to a race that we've seen in Gran Turismo Esports Leagues. It was an absolute nail-biter. It was right down to the very wire, with different converging strategies coming together. Very famous for its long straights and elevation changes throughout. Very heavy braking zones do offer opportunities to get some moves done. However, there's also a very technical undulating middle sector with several hairpins, cambered corners, and that's really going to test the control of our drivers, particularly in a car we've chosen, which is the Ferrari F8 Tributo. And it's with it being incredibly sensitive to weight transfer and any form of steering inputs or counter steering and correction. This is going to prove to be an exceptional challenge for these drivers. 90 minutes of endurance. They're going to have to focus. They're going to put their skills to the test alongside a strategy that may in fact be a case of who can actually get around 90 minutes and make the least amount of unforced errors over the long haul, because I assure you they're going to make mistakes. It's such a challenging car to drive, really genuinely is. I can't hammer that home enough. It's such a challenging car. It's a case of really who can get round cleanly. We'll just have a little look at some of the race spec and what's actually involved in it. So we will have qualifying in about 10 minutes time. We know the car, we know the track. The evening on a variable time rate of 1 times 6 tyre wear. Now that's one factor less than Monday night's race, which was times 7. But I believe that the times 6 and the tyre wear on the Ferrari is a lot more significant, and also this track is a lot more punishing on the tyres, which we'll have a look at with it when it comes to strategy. Obviously, same as before with the tyres, it's a sports soft and mediums. So, and again, you only get one set of sports soft tyres to use. Now, a lot of learnings will have been taken from Monday. For example, we now know that, you know, the difference between a medium and a soft tyre is substantially greater differential than it is in its racing soft and medium counterparts. There's probably going to be, again, 2.5 to 3 seconds difference in lap time for that. Also, the wearing is that the performance retains a lot longer as the tyres begin to degrade. So there is that. And in terms of strategy, I can see the race going for 90 minutes, around about 54 to 56 laps, I imagine, which will be crucial for the strategy. When I did a run out earlier in each stint, which wasn't very quick, I can say that, I was looking at around 9 to 10 laps in the softs, which at around 1 minute 34 lap, before I lost confidence and traction, I started making mistakes. It was around a 15 minutes of soft tyre time, leaving around 75 minutes for the mediums at approximately 1 minute 36 a lap, which equates around 46 to 47 laps. So, you know, I see it looking something like that, but I can't be quite specific, not including the pit stop time. The fuel tank lasts about 28 laps, I imagine. So you can factor that into your stints. Maybe you don't have to actually refuel on your first stop and you can get 2 stints in. What I think is going to make the difference in strategy isn't so much the soft tyre. It's when the soft tyre is used, as we saw on Monday evening. So using that on your second or last stint. But ultimately, there may be a divergence in strategies in how many stints you do on the medium tyres to get to in around 45 to 47 laps. And what that can mean is will it be 3 stints at approximately 15 laps, managing the tyres and the wear to remove a pit stop? Or will it be 4 stints of all out, guns blazing, of approximately 11 to 12 laps, where it's one final push on the softs and the remainder? What does that mean for your consistency? What does that mean for removing those, you know, when you're in those laps 12 to 15, when you're more likely to make mistakes, where you're more likely to have a crash? Is it a safer option to go and do an extra stint on the mediums to remove that element of having a crash and losing 10 seconds altogether? Or is it a case of, you know, manage the tyres and crawl around, and it could very much turn into a tortoise and the hare race? So looking at the some updates, I think we have an update on our teams from the classification. So just to make you all aware, Outplayed Racing, through the proper channels and going through the official process, have actually requested a name change, which has to go through an adjudication during a competition, in the middle of a competition. So Outplayed Racing will no longer be known as Outplayed, and I believe they will be known as SimFrame Esports going forward. So SimFrame Esports, same management, same drivers, just no longer will be known as Outplayed Racing in P4. So if you see, I think it'll be Frankie who'll be driving for them today, SimFrame, then that will be our Outplayed Racing representative in the league, and it's just simply a straight transfer and change of sponsor. That's all that's taking place there. So 5 minutes to go before we kick off the let's see. Yeah, 5 minutes to go before we kick off the qualifying. Who have we got in there? Ian is in. Ian's come in. Yes, absolutely. Listen to Fitzy. Fitzy knows what he's talking about. But yeah, so I think we're in for a very exciting race. I'm interested to see exactly what's going to happen. I'm just going to try and get the display on. So we'll have a little look and see who's in the lobby. So this is Frankie himself. You can see this is just a bit of practice at the moment. The qualifying hasn't started, but he's displaying early pace. So I can say for absolute certainty that these drivers are about a second and a half faster than what I was able to get in a few laps in the softs. But we have Visceral's Jamie Marty has turned up this evening. Great to see him. He is coming off a bit of form and a bit of confidence, having done an exceptional drive last night in the GT World Series round 3 at Deep Forest, taking home the win. We've got Kraken Stains Josedo, ERS is Bezzy, Garazza from Team Monza Racing, but Vanquish Esports, Lewis Burton also showing what he's capable of, also showing a little bit of form last night in bringing home a good result in the GT World Series. That should give him a little bit of confidence. And going down the order of the grid, we can see there Axions, Vikaman, Aliens, Magic. We've got Thunderites Feroz again showing up, and CGT Charles. Again, someone who we'll all know if you were watching the Trinity series just before Christmas. Charles took home one of the race wins. I believe it was at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and that was in the McLaren P1. So he is certainly one to watch, a pad driver, but one of the best in pad in the game, right up there. So we expect good things for him. So it'll certainly be for the outright win with a win where no one else can impact the outcome by their positioning. A straight win for VQS, Lewis Burton, for Kraken Stains Joseto, or Customs GT Charles. A straight win for 8 of those 3 will take the championship. Now what I will show you is, and you can let me know if this works, let's just go out on the track and put it in the TV mode. So what I have is the points available at the top, okay, and let me know if you just want to have this on, and just on the right hand side, and I can just move that across a little bit. I think if I just do, hold on, that. So if we have that on screen during the race, what that should be able to do is let you see exactly where the contenders are, keep it so you have it in your mind's eye, but also equate what points are available for the position they're in. So I'm not going to be able to keep track of all of that and do all the miles and all the calculations and look at the fuel and, you know, check where they're all going and be able to work out the maths and do all the calculations and everything else to figure that out. You guys, at least in the chat, will be able to see that if I keep that on the screen. Now let me know, Fitzy, Ian, big fan, whoever else is in, do you want that on the screen for its entirety, or do you just want to have it, like, you know, every so often for a little check? Because I think that would be helpful for the grand final. You know, it just means you can figure things out, do a little bit of a calculation. But let me know, do you want to keep it up the entire time, or do you want me to just put it on every so often? You can let me know. So high 131s capable. I'm actually just going to go on board to see if Frankie is out, because that's some incredible pace. Not to worry, Lewis, best to get the slides done now and practice and warm up. Let's have a little look and see. Just look at the throttle management. Look at, you know, there's that snap oversteer, right? Okay, so that's your fastest guy. Okay, this substantiates everything I've just said. Frankie is one of the best in Europe. I've watched him for years, right? when he decides to show up. It's incredibly difficult, right? This car is incredibly difficult to manage. That's the best. I couldn't drive it right. I messaged Lewis earlier on because I knew that he'd be driving this. I'll not use the exact language that I used, right? But it went something to the effect of, this car is an absolute insert bleeped word to drive. Am I imagining that? And the response was no, it's an absolute pig, right? It's horrendous, and I can't get it across enough just how difficult this is. So genuinely, this could be, and I hope it isn't, but I don't want it to turn farcical with the amount of crashes and unforced errors, but just look at them holding the throttle there before powering out. Even in 5th gear, the torque by corrections, especially on curbs, you can get just as you saw with Frankie a moment ago coming off just out of the Senna S's. Just a little correction, and once it went left then went right, he was a passenger, he was gone. And we saw with Lewis a moment earlier, he was off the track spinning around. These are two incredibly high level drivers. I just want to get across that the level of which they're able to bring these cars around in such a fashion, is the skill level on display is exceptional. And there'll be no criticizing if anyone crashes or anyone spins. I want you to understand that it's an exceptionally difficult challenge that they have ahead of them. I can't keep hammering that home, but genuinely, if you want to go and give yourself a real challenge, go and buy yourself an F8 Tributo, put it onto this track, put some sports mediums onto it, and let me know how you do. Because I was all sorts of left and right at 6s and 7s, but I think we're getting ready. I think we're getting notification that we are going to be getting ready to start the qualifying pretty soon. So I'm very, very interested to see how this works out. Again, anyone in the top 5 or 6 in your qualifying, I think, is comfortable enough to execute your strategy. Once we go a little bit lower down the field, then you may begin to see some people maybe consider some alternate strategies that may, for example, as we saw on Monday evening, starting on softs. Now, how successful of an execution that was, it didn't quite work out on that occasion. But does someone choose to, in fact, start on the softs in this case? I can't really see it being an advantage. What seemed to be the biggest option was, would someone do a softs and a medium stint, or would they leave their softs to the end? Now, we saw that Mumu was the rogue element in terms of leaving the softs to the end and having to cover that delta with qualifying just starting now. We'll just see some of these cars come out on the track. But I think it'll be a case of who decides to do their soft stint. Their one set of soft tires will be in the middle, a middle stint, to gain track position, or will it be left to the very end? I don't know that will work quite the same as it did at Yas Marina, with such a tight technical track as Interlagos. A lot harder to make the passes happen, with 2.5 to 3 seconds per lap deficit due to the difference in the soft and medium tires. Every bit of traffic is going to be absolutely massive for these draggers. I think we'll go on board with one of our championship leaders, if we can find there who we got. Let's go on board with Lewis and see what he can do in qualifying. You can see they're all beginning to line up. It's 10-minute qualifying, so I imagine they'll begin to start queuing up at the back pretty soon, or who's a bit further forward perhaps. Where is the Kraken Stains driver? There he is, Josito. Let's go on board with Josito and see what he can do, because these are the guys that we're going to be watching. Remember, Customs GT, Charles and P7, Kraken Stains, Josito, and VQS's Lewis. They're the 3 teams that can win this outright with a win. The rest need things to happen to other teams in order for their race victory to mean a victory in the championship. That's a great reminder, Mumu. That's an absolute outstanding reminder. That's a World Tour level reminder. I'll get that. I will get that overlay changed immediately. I'll just take it off for the 1 second, and then I will update the other one. But after the qualifying. But we've got Josito on his flying lap now. You can see even corrections on the throttle as he was exiting up into 6th gear. We're just going to see him probably bring it round to 3rd gear and just manage that throttle through the corner. But you can see the front end moving. That is not lag. You can see, look, making the car do all sorts of crazy shapes right now. Absolutely on ice. I'm very, very interested to see what he's like through this middle section, particularly through the undulations. And look at that throttle. Look at the management of the throttle, wrestling the car. They're going to have to do this for 90 minutes. 90 minutes of racing, managing that throttle, managing the percentages, managing the understeer, under braking, but also getting onto the power as the Lux driver pulls off the left to give the space for Kraken Stains GT on his flying lap. 3rd gear, coasting a cruise up to 4th, getting that torque and power down, minimizing the wheel spin out, and also creating that stability up to 5th. Early short shift. Probably going to be a 3rd or a 4th gear exit. I experimented with it both. He's going for the 4th gear exit. Okay, the conversation I had with another driver was choosing 3rd. Josito was choosing the same gears that I was preferencing on because the torque is so high in the higher gears. It just made more sense to do that. He's going to power this along to the line. A little interesting tidbit about the medium tires. 32.8 for him, 32.0 for Visceral's Jaime Marti. Charles putting in an outstanding lap. He's put himself in the contention. ERS on the board, low 32s. Lewis 32.6, a little bit of work to be done for him. He's in 8th position, putting in the bottom 3rd of the field. So we're going to have a little look at Jaime Marti on his 2nd flyer of a lap. Let's get a little reference point of what he's doing with his gears, what he's doing with his throttle, how he's managing. You can see constantly through the mid apex and late apex, constantly wrestling the car to make sure it's got traction at all times, because one wrong move, one wrong correction with that steering and inputs and throttle and you're off. It is that easy to do. 2nd gear, a lot more use of the downshift and the engine braking to create that rotation than we did with our previous driver Josito. A slightly different driving style. Does he go for the 4th gear exit or the 3rd gear exit? Let's have a little look. Down to 2nd, using the 4th gear to exit the corner. Okay, so 4th gear is, as we assumed, going to provide a great medium gear for eggs in a lot of these perceived slower corners. 4th would tend to be a lot higher in a GT car, but the gearing ratios and the torque in these road cars provides an ample opportunity to leverage them and retain some traction. This is where I can see a lot of incidents happen. This 2nd corner, 5th gear, early upshift. See the understeer just kicking in there, and now he's wrestling it. There's going to be chaos there. I'm not looking forward to commentating lap 1, and he's picked himself up a penalty. Again, we talked about this before. Obviously, this is a qualifying session. Obviously, they're on a hard push here. But what is it going to mean for the drivers? Is it going to be a case in the race of who is the driver that makes the least amount of unforced errors? And they're easy to make. We're not criticizing, it's easier to make. How much do you take off your laps? Do you sacrifice 2 or 3 tenths a lap by not pushing all out just for safety, because you know that one crash can cost you 10 or 12 seconds? That's an entire stint ruined. Implications, championship implications on the line in this particular event, as we have Charles has broken into the 31s. We're going to go on board with Charles now. Charles is on a flyer, a little bit of traffic ahead. Let's get onto the onboard camera. Let's go into bumper cam now, as some of you prefer to use, and see how Charles is managing this round. Remember, Charles is on the pad, holding that 4th, holding that 5th gear. Not just, this isn't just floored, this isn't an on-off switch like Group 4, which I'm accustomed to. That's about the length and breadth of my skill set. They're having to manage every single bit of that 710 brake horsepower going through the rear wheels, turbocharged engine, as he's going to bring it in to the pits and obviously maybe get himself a fresh set of tires to go again. Cannot reset, obviously, in these lobbies. Cannot hit the reset button as you can in GT World Series, so you have to come in and actually make a pit stop. It seems they're all in. They've all got what they perceive to be 3 good laps, I imagine, out of them before they perceive there'd be a bit of a wear and tear drop off. Looking down the board, let's go on board with Lewis, who's another contender for this title, representing Vanquish Esports. 32.3, 3/10 off. We know that Lewis has demonstrated excellent pace since his transition from the pad to the wheel in the last 12 months, being an integral part of the Vanquish team, which currently has Mikolaj Sedziak and Max Kroll in positions to qualify within EMEA for their respective manufacturers. Lewis doing a very good job, just trying to put himself and put his head above the parapet for Citroen. He'll be looking to get an improvement on this stint with 7.5 minutes gone. Looking at maybe 2 or 3 laps. This is an out lap. Might get 2 flying laps. Not too sure. 1 minute 30. Maybe get 2 flying laps. But will there be traffic from the other drivers? Will he be able to get 2 laps in to make a dent? P5, really 90-minute race, probably isn't really massively awful. But if the group begins to fragment and he gets left behind and it becomes a slipstream train, which it can do using the fact that we're using weak slipstream, then that might mean that he is falling a little off the back and may have to do something to ensure he can make up that deficit, either through an earlier pit stop to undercut, whether it be through a little bit of fuel saving over the course of a stint to get a few seconds in the pits. But he is going on to his final lap. You can see that he's using the 3rd gear exit there. That's the driver I spoke to. The 3rd gear exit, you can see it gave him a lot of less stability there, a little bit of a wiggle up the 4th. It's just different option, no right or wrong, wherever you prefer. I personally think that the higher gears are going to be better for consistency across the length of this race, and we'll see more using the higher gears in this race, because you will skip a gear shift and it will give you that earlier stability before the turbochargers kick in. Up to 5th gear, where's it going to be for this sector 1 on this flying lap? Let's keep a little look at sector 1 to see how he has done through 1/10 down on his own best lap. So work to be done, but obviously given that we are going through a very technical sector, that can all be made up in 1 or 2 corners by getting the power down, particularly through the hairpin section. But at the moment it is CGT's Charles who had the job to do. CGT's Charles, if we just bring up the points going into the finals and the points available, Charles representing Custom GT in 3rd place on 66 points. A 7-point difference between 1st and 2nd place means that a win for Charles for Custom GT would give the outright win by 1 point, irrespective of where Vanquish or Kraken Stains finish in this race today. So the top 3 teams can all win it with a win. The rest, if they get a win, need other things to happen, and I can't quite do that maths myself in my head, but at least it's available for you all to check out. As Lewis is going to come around and finish up his final lap. Fortunately, run a little bit wide there. I don't see it being an improvement. We do have a change in the leadership, and that 2nd picked up, unfortunately for Lewis. Probably not quite the qualifying session he is looking for. He's got some work to do. Josito is still holding strong. He is on a lap at the moment. We'll have a little look with him. Only 1800ths down on his best first sector, so potentially an opportunity to improve. He has finished. Josito on his last lap. Let's have a little look to see what occurs, and can he make up some of that deficit and get himself another place on the grid for this grid start after the qualifying session has finished. Using the 3rd gear there, he's going to drop down to 2nd and coast it through, get onto the power in 3rd gear. You can see a lot of different uses of gears and a lot of different lines being taken to create that stability across all the drivers in today's qualifying session, but he's lost quite a bit of time there. It's very, very hard to have the consistency, but also using the 4th gear. And you look at the car just wrestling from him there. You can just see it's all over the place. And one thing to note before we go into the race is look at how far wide they're running on the final bend. Now, if you're used to running GT cars, Group 4, Group 3 at this track on racing tyres, then it's just exit the corner and then just drive around, keeping the nice, neat line on the inside. With these compound of tyres on the soft, yes, you can go flat. What's really interesting in the medium stint is on the medium tires when I tested this, unless you absolutely nail your line, you're going to actually have to lift on the bend before the pit lane to get round that corner and not understeer into the wall. That is the level of understeer and the level of difference between the medium sports compound and the soft sports compound. So keep an eye on that, because the thing just will not turn. But it is Customs GT Charles 31.8, outstanding lap for the young man. Jaime Marti P2 for Visceral, looking to make a charge. Great lap for ERS. Didn't really see a lot of them earlier on the championship, but nice to see them right up there. And Frankie in P4 for the newly named OP Racing Team, now Sim Freem Esports in 4th. Josito for Kraken Stains in 5th. Our championship leaders, joint leaders in 5th and 6th with Vanquish Esports, Lewis Burton. We've got Mr. Alf, Mr. Producer, our producer for Mach25 Gaming, making a showing for Isles Esports. Deluxe in 8th. Garazza for Team Monza Racing. Axions, Vikaman, Thunderlights, Faroz, and AGT's own representation in 12th position. So if I will just have a little look at the results, and Aliens Magic rounded out the entire grid. So just getting ready there. I think they'll be setting up the lobby for the race. Oh yes, apologies. I need to update the I think I've got that one right now. Okay. Thank you, Mumu. I think we've got that one correct. So, yeah, I've got the correct overlay on this occasion. Thank you very much for pointing that out. I thought I'd done everything, but unfortunately, that was one thing I hadn't quite caught. So I think it'll be like 2 minutes, and then we will be into the race. Yeah. Here's a quick question. Based on the lap times, how many laps do you think the race will go in 90 minutes? What are your thoughts on that? What do you think the race will go for 90 minutes? I've made an estimation of between 54 to 56. I was a lap or two shy in my prediction for Monday night, but that was based on my own pace, not the pace that these drivers were able to deliver. So will it be more, will it be less? What do you think the strategies will be? What will be your strategy, given the time 6 tire wear and the mediums to use? I really don't know with this one. I'm out of ideas. I got the strategy correct for Monday evening, the winning strategy, but I don't know exactly what will happen with this race this evening. I'm not seeing any updates in the chat from Alejandro. I'm not seeing anything about us starting anytime soon. If there is an update, that would be great to know. But I imagine we will be looking to start the race anytime soon. So yeah. Gives me a little bit of a time to get a drink before the race starts, because 90 minutes is an awful long time to be doing solo comms on one of these races. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Did someone just put subscriber only mode on? That wasn't me, by the way. So apologies if you were wanting to chat and you weren't able to. But yeah. Okay, 4th light, 5th light. And they're off with Charles on the outside line, Jaime Marty on the inside, and a great start for Bezzy on the outside. We can see a move, early move being made on the inside line there from Frankie. He is holding the inside line. He's got himself at the P2 from P4, it looks like. Charles is holding the lead on the medium tire, followed by Frankie, and it is Jaime Marty, the Visceral Esports driver, Bezzy in 4th. A move being made for Frankie. Is Frankie on the soft compound of tire? He is on the soft compound of tire. We do have a front runner looking to make the alternate strategy and looking to get away from the field. He was off like an absolute rocket from the standing start. Got the inside line, got the move done through the Senna S's, and he is taking the lead. So we'll have to keep an eye on him and what sort of a delta, what sort of a gap he can carve into the rest of the pack, who appear to be filtering in on the medium tires down the grid. Any other rogue elements, I think every single driver at the moment as it stands is on the mediums, barring our leader Frankie for the newly named SimFrame Esports, formerly OP. Now we're going to follow on with Charles. He's got a 1.4 second deficit already on this lap alone, as he's going to bring it through with Visceral Esports, Visceral Racing's Jaime Marti, closely followed by Bezzy, Josito in 5th, and Lewis Burton in 6th. I think this is more of a formation lap, really just driving out to see who has the pace and who can hold on as these gaps begin to fragment and the race begins to settle down a little bit in laps 2 and 3, and we can see exactly who's in a push and who is going to be looking to save their tires throughout the race as it transpires. But yes, just a comment, big fan of the shorts. That was in fact a Diet Coke, and I was caught a little bit off guard by the race starting. Did not see the warning lights for that. Was reading the chat, apologies for that. But you can see just how fast this gap can open up for the soft tires. Be a good indicator for how many laps the SimFrame driver, the Italian Frankie, is able to get out of the sauce. Be interesting to see just what he is able to do with that. Might have an indication to the others as to what is available, or because he is on a full fuel tank, a full tank of fuel, what is that going to mean for the impact on his tires? What's that going to mean for his lap times that he's able to put in? For example, given there's about 28 laps of fuel within the tank available, that's about 2 stints. So therefore your second stint on tires potentially doesn't require any fuel, and you can get away with doing your second stint without any full fuel tank whatsoever, which from my understanding, having done a little bit of practice earlier on, the fuel weight plays a massive difference in the pace. Over half a second in fact, which that can make up a substantial amount of time over a stint of 7 or 8 laps before that half a tank of fuel has diminished. So a 4-second gap opening up for the Italian driver. Charles in 2nd, Jaime Marti 3rd, Bezzy just going side by side with Josito there. Josito wanting to get the job done. He has made his way up. He knows this championship is on the line. He's got his eyes firmly on the Customs GT driver Charles in the driving seat at the moment, keeping a reminder of what is on at stake here with the points available: 25 for the winner, 18 for second, 15 third, and so on and so forth in increments down to 12th place for 1 point. Looking at the championship, Vanquish Esports and Kraken Stains on 72 points, Customs GT on 66 points, but currently in second position. If they were able to get the win, the 7-point difference between first and second place would leapfrog both P1 and P2 of VQS and Kraken Stains and win the championship outright by a point, irrespective of where anyone else finishes up this evening. But everything seems to have been settling down. It's Kraken Stains, Josito wanting to get the moves done, followed by ERS's Bezzy, and it is Lewis in 6th place, our other championship contender followed by Isles, Mr. Alf, and Team Monza Racing's Grazza in 8th position. Be very, very interesting to see if the drivers begin to work together, if this train of drivers from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th begin to work together to form some sort of a train and begin bump drafting, if they can follow through and to close that gap and bring them onto the back of Jaime Marti and Charles, who are really setting the pace at the front there and really beginning to drive away from the chasing group. We're having really 3 races are occurring in front of us. We've got a soft runner who made the aggressive move and made it work by getting the job done on the overtakes done early and getting into that clean air. What can he do? 7.2 second gap. Charles, the fastest of our medium runners, followed by Jaime Marti, the visceral driver, in 3rd place, but really probably leading the charge depending on what they can do. And then about a 1.5 seconds behind, we've got Josito, but they will need to work together. If there is any form of fighting here, that'll be curtains. They may as well hand it on a platter to the CGT driver and visceral drivers. And Frankie has no one annoying him, no one disturbing him, clean air ahead of him. He can just run his own race. But let's see what can be done. Let's see what sort of a gap he can create to run his own race and get himself onto his mediums. Does he create enough time that he can retain that lead all the way to the final stint on the medium tires versus some soft runners? And what will that mean for his ability to fend off that charge, providing nobody has any unforced errors? A 9-second gap now, so getting a little look at his lap times of 32.7, 32.7, 33.1 on lap 2. He's getting quicker. He's getting quicker as the tires are getting warmer. Forget about the tire wear. I said that with an asterisk. He's getting quicker again. Forget about the tire wear in respect of what you perceive that red to mean from your experience of doing daily races and GT cars on racing compound tires. The tire degradation is substantially less in terms of performance as that wear increases. You will find that the pace that you will lose from the worn tires will be overthrown and overruled by the weight reduction in the car and the temperatures getting to their optimal levels, as we see Frankie begin to settle in and deliver more pace and more consistency versus what Charles is doing at 34.9, 35 seconds, 35.2. So to get a reference there, you're looking at around about a 3-second difference, even on a 1 minute 30 lap. It was around about a 3-second difference at Yas Marina. Also in the Porsche Carrera GT 2004 on a 1 minute 56, 57 lap. But even on a shorter track like this, the technical sectors mean that those soft tires pay dividends, but it will also mean that the soft tires and all compounds will wear away much quicker, which is my experience from doing some testing today. But again, that gap is opening even more so now to 1.6 seconds, right on the fringes of slipstream, and it's ERS's Bezzi and Josito who are able to hold on. Lewis, a little bit of contact just being lost. Mr. Alf following in 7th place, a little bit of work to do. A very, very challenging car, this Ferrari F8, and you can see all sorts of sideways there. I wasn't making this up, I wasn't exaggerating. What these young men are doing right now in terms of controlling this car and making the absolute impossible look easy cannot be underestimated. This is, even just taking these corners that look normal in a GT car are exceptionally difficult. We can see VQS's Lewis. What strategy is he on now? Is he looking at the tire wear? Let's have a little look. That's another question we brought up. Will Charles be punished by the tire wear? We know that he is a master on the pad, but will he be challenged? Will he find that coming into effect later on? We saw it with Sigma, who had the raw pace of everybody on Monday evening. He's a pad driver. He was impacted heavily by the tire wear. It did come into effect and did pay a detrimental impact on his race ending pace in the last 4 or 5 laps. Can Charles maintain his pace? He's shown us before that he can maintain his pace. He's shown us that he can save tyres. But it is Frankie open up a 15-second gap almost. Really beginning to settle into this race, settle into those 32.4, 32.5. Little bit slower now at only 700 slower in sector 1, but again through 7 laps to retain that consistency, as we know on a times 6 multiplier. If this was the race in soft tires, your tires would be almost gone already. You'd be looking to pit. I imagine that my calculations, having looked at the job that Frankie and a driver his caliber is doing right now, I imagine that my estimations of potentially 10 laps in the softs before having to change might have been a little bit conservative, based upon, I'll just say it exactly how it is, based on my skill issues, right? I don't have the talent that these guys have, so I'm just beginning to wonder now if he's able to extend that stint to in and around about 11 or 12 laps, what that means for the medium runners, and that's with a full tank of fuel to begin with. And what does that mean for the drivers who are starting maybe doing a stint on half a tank of fuel and getting their soft stint in? Will they be able to extend that even more so to 12, 13, 14 laps perhaps, given that you can see the tire wear now after 7 full laps is around about 30%. I imagine and anticipate that somewhere around about 60-65% of tire wear, that is where you will begin to feel a lot less confidence on the throttle in a car like this. Really did not feel as comfortable running this one to the rims as I did with the Porsche Carrera on Monday evening, but an outstanding consistent drive so far from the newly named rebranded OP SimFrame Esports Frankie Bertani in P1, opening that gap, but Charles doing an outstanding job in his own right with Jaime Marti, and we can see a driver has begun to make his way up. Josito has closed that gap down. We did wonder, we saw the side-by-side with Bezzy. He made the move. He is the hammer now, driving, punching a hole through that air. He's got it down. It might seem insignificant, but 1.6 seconds on the fringes of slipstream down to 1 second is substantial. So half a second gain for Josito, the Kraken Stains driver, is on a move right now. Points and championship implications are in effect. He is going to want to bring that right down. It looks like he's getting into the good slipstream, remembering that slipstream isn't just slipstream. Slipstream, it runs in waves. It runs on a curve. The further you are out, the weaker it is. The closer you are in to a point of diminishing returns, in around 5/10, the stronger it is to create a slingshot effect, particularly where this so-called weak slipstream, I know it's confusing, weak slipstream being stronger, is concerned, but now under a second at 9/10, so that really is good for us as viewers to see a much more exciting race, as an overtake is made. Jaime Marti deciding that actually he isn't interested in waiting around for Josito to get onto the back and make it a 3-horse race. He has decided to take the lead from Charles. That's paid right into the drivers of Josito and Bezzy, because obviously making that overtake cost them about 3 or 4 tenths, which has brought Charles right down to that 5 to 6 tenth stronger slipstream we talked about. So now it's really Frankie in the lead by almost 20 seconds. Jaime Marti, Charles, Josito for Kraken Stains, Bezzy just 1 second off. Lewis falling off the pace a little bit there, 3 seconds behind. He is leading a second chasing packs with split and fragment the pack. 9 laps in to our virtual endurance challenge, and we can begin to see the shape of the race beginning to take effect, the groups beginning to work together, who are the contenders, and at the moment it's Vanquish Esports. Lewis Burton has a little bit of work to do, having a look at his fuel, having a look to see where he is. He's actually a little bit less fuel. I'm just wondering what his strategy can do. And the thing about a 90-minute race is, when it's not going your way, over 90 minutes, not a 12-lap, 18-minute daily race, over 90 minutes you can change things up. You can make decisions that can impact your race, you can, and cover that deficit quite comfortably, but you will have to be starting to think about, where am I getting this time from? You cannot rely purely on everyone crashing, but is it a case of what am I going to do? Am I going to extend this stint? Am I going to hit the soft tires earlier to get myself back into that slipstream range and get myself ahead of this pack, and maybe once I'm a little bit more comfortable with the car and combo, by my final stint in the mediums, I'll be able to stick with them. Many different options available to all drivers, but that gap opening right up to 21 seconds, this is absolutely huge for the Italian driver and absolutely great to watch. Let's just have a little look and see that degradation has begun to kick in. You can see a massive drop off between laps 7 and 8, almost 3/4 of a second drop off, as you can see, where the performance has begun to degrade as he's now just over 50% tire wear. I did say around about 10 laps was what I was able to do before I began to lose confidence, and I assure you that 3/4 of a second degradation in time is down to the lack of confidence that he will be feeling on the throttle. It really does want to kill you at every twist and turn, and this track is purely designed for weight transfer. So I wonder how many more laps he is going to decide to push through, given that at 33.9 seconds, almost 134, 36 is being done for the mediums. There's still a 2-second gap. Isn't quite a 3-second gap, but still time to be gained on the medium runners. How long does he continue to push this while he is still taking time? He will obviously see that delta still opening up, and I guess it's going to be as the case of how long can he make this run last for, and can he retain whatever he has in the bag now? How long can he retain that for through a 90-minute race, with 16.5 minutes giving us around about 73 more minutes of racing to go? But it's Jaime Marti, the visceral driver, Charles P2 comfortably there, Josito for Kraken Stains again comfortably in the slip, and Bezzy has closed that gap down to 6/10, so he is firmly in now, when he was running on the fringes at 1.1 seconds. So yeah, let me know, what are your thoughts in terms of the pace now? 17 minutes in, seems that everyone has completed almost 11 laps. Should begin to start giving us some indicators as to how long this race might go, given that we can see that Frankie on the soft compounded tires has done 11 laps in around about 17 minutes, and again you can see the tire degradation is really beginning to hurt now. You know, it's falling off not by hundreds, it's falling off by tenths, by almost 2 to 3 tenths a lap, and it's going to get worse and worse. But 12 laps is an outstanding job, starting cold and obviously starting with a full fuel tank. But 25 seconds now, chasing pack Jaime Marti leading the charge in this race as it stands. CGT's Charles, let's have a little look at the points tallies. What would that mean for the points? What would that mean if things stayed like they were and it went 25 points to our P4 Outplayed Racing? That would finish them on approximately 86 points. Kraken Stains are in 4th. That would give them 12 points, and that would put them on to 84 points. Charles in P3, 15 points. For the Customs driver, 81 points. And Vanquish Esports driver Lewis Burton in 6th. That would be 8 points for him, given 80 points, which means if the Outplayed driver, formerly Outplayed, now Simframe Racing or Esports, if the Italian driver in P1 was able to retain this and the positions didn't change as they stand now, they would actually win the championship by about 2 points, providing they get no penalties whatsoever and get their 2-point clean race bonus. So very interesting as it stands right now. If you want, we can keep the points and the championship standings on the screen, or we can hide them as you want. You can see a little bit of support there for Lewis from the big fan of the shorts. He's about 20-30 seconds behind due to buffering. So if you see a late comment, you'll know why. Not to worry at all. Not to worry at all. Great to have your support for these drivers. But again, 27-second gap over a 13 lap stint, averaging out at around about 2 seconds a lap. Averaging, obviously it was a lot higher at the start of the stint, and it's a little bit less of a gain towards the end of the stint, but he's still going. I'd anticipate he will be looking to come in anytime soon. But it then becomes a question as to how long are these drivers gonna run these mediums. I mean, have I got my strategy all wrong? I was thinking it was going to be potentially 3 sets of mediums to get to around about 45 laps. Is it possible that they can extend this stint into around about 21, 22, 23 laps? I don't know. Is there 10 laps left in those tires? I'm not too sure, but it wasn't on my it wasn't on my bingo card that anyone would be going for 2 stints on mediums and finishing on softs. I thought it would have to be a minimum of 3 and potentially 4. But we'll just have a little look at fuel and tires against all drivers here. Charles, is he having a little look down? No, he's not. He's just filtering in and following through. But firstly with Jaime Marti, having a little look at his fuel and tires versus Charles. A little bit more fuel for Charles. Remember, at 3 litres a second, that can make a difference. A jump can be made now on the Josito. Less fuel and slightly worse tires for Josito. And Bezzy with better tires and the best fuel. So Charles and Bezzy have the better tires and the more fuel. So remember, places can be gained in the pit stops with the fuel where it's concerned. We got the front 5. That's really where the fight is happening right now. No changes. The same thing happened on Monday evening. Took the race to settle into itself in the first stint. You know, things were a little bit quiet. We're just keeping an eye on each other, what they were trying to do, alternate strategies. It wasn't until, and I think he's coming into the pits now. He's come into the pits right now. He's made it 14 laps. 14 laps is a lot more than I imagined was possible. I wonder with that in mind, with 14 laps available on the softs with a full tank of fuel, that now would suggest that would bring the 2 stints on mediums into play. If this race was to go 55, 56 laps as predicted, then all of a sudden that's about 20, 21, 22 laps on the medium tires for 2 stints to the finish. And we've got Josito has come in quite early. In fact, that seems like a very early pit. Now we did mention this is for the 3 stints. We did mention that 3 stints on the mediums will be around about this particular lap. So lap 14, 15, pitting again lap 30, then pitting again about lap 44, 45 for the soft tires. We saw the drop off there on the softs the last 5 or 6 laps. So now we are going to have a very exciting race. We mentioned that Josito, the Kraken Stains driver, was fueled very well. He hasn't taken any fuel. I anticipate this is going to be another 15 lap stint for him. How much clean air is he going to come out into? It looks like he's got all the clean air in the world. Perfect for him to run his own race. Now it's a game of who blinks first. Now we're going to see a little bit of excitement. Now we're going to see some drivers react to that. Frankie, he has pulled the trigger in his strategy. We've got obviously Josito for Kraken Stains. He's pulled the trigger on his strategy. We did mention there would be a case off. We reckon they're going to get to about laps 44, 45, but it was how they got there. How many stops would they do? And it looks to me like we're going to see potentially alternating strategies between a 1 stop for 2 sets of mediums or a 2 stop for 3 sets of mediums to get to that 45 laps. Very, very interesting unfolding right now. Is there going to be 5 or 6 more laps in these tires for Jaime Marti and Charles? Because to me, that's what it looks like they're going for. I don't know if they can make that work. Can they make that work? You know, can they make something like that happen? Can they just run these down to the rims and get close to that 20 lap mark? If they can, and remember their second stint will be on an entirely lighter fuel though, which means they might even get, you know, 18, 19 laps out of the first stint and 22, 23 laps out of the second stint. Who knows? But it looks like they're just going to carry on as it is. Frankie with a 7.7 lap. Now we get to see what the fresh mediums are like versus the worn mediums. Still creating that gap is Frankie, 8 seconds ahead. But remember, he's going to need to have that gap in around about 30 seconds, the same as we saw on Monday evening. And he will be the one that will be under pressure towards the final stint. He will be the one that is feeling the pressure of some drivers bearing down upon him on the softer compound of tyres. As we go back and have a little look at Josedo, who is again running his second stint of mediums, 30 seconds off the lead. Frankie, our soft runner, which puts him around about 22 seconds off the medium runners Jaime Marti and Charles. But it'll be very, very interesting to keep an eye on that delta and see what happens, and see if anyone else makes a decision to come in and run potentially 3 stints on the mediums, as Josedo is coming in for his faster laps. And you can see he's doing an outstanding job with the fuel, and Frankie is not getting any form of a gap to him. He is holding the same pace as SimFrame's Frankie, so they're delivering the same level of pace on the same compound of tyre, on the same similar amounts of tyre wear. I want to go on board with Charles and Marty to have a little look at what they're doing. Are they just going to keep this out? I can't see them making it much further. The tyre wear is getting really, really bad, particularly in that right rear, which you're going to feel exiting these corners. I mean, I got to lap 15 and I was doing donuts all over the place. I just could not drive the thing. So what these guys are doing is exceptional. And unbelievably, look at Charles' tyre wear on the rears. Look at what he is doing on the rear tyres. You can see Jaime Marti's really struggling, but Charles has really managed those rears, as has Bezzy. But Jaime Marti is struggling on the rears, but they are still going strong. I can anticipate that Charles might be able to extend this another couple of laps, but I think Jaime Marti might begin to struggle on some of the exits off these corners. Maybe it's time for Charles to think about making a move. He's got the job done in terms of a much better exit. I wonder, is he going to make a move now to get himself into track position for what would potentially be an in-lap? I can see him pulling off the left. He is going to go for the move. It is his way of thinking. He has gone for the move. He has felt himself have the pace, and he's gone wide. My goodness. Visceral Esports, Jaime Marti has retained the lead. All that has served to do is play into the hands of SimFrame's Frankie in P1. He made the move, but he overshot it, and my word, they're both running this down to the rims now. He just didn't have it, but he's going back for the move again. Charles is extending. I think we are going to see Jaime Marti coming in this lap. I think Jaime Marti is beginning to really, really struggle on his tyres. I think this has to be his in lap. He can't risk going another lap potentially. And I think that Charles might go and do another lap and bring this to 19 laps. My word, what could this end up being? This could end up being something very, very special towards the end. The 12-second gap opening up to Frankie. That was not good, as the compliance between Charles and Jaime Marti was tested there. I don't think Jaime Marti had any intention of defending it. He knows that they're not really racing each other at this point. They're racing the Italian. I don't think he intended him going past. He was happy for the move to be made and kept the door open. But he just found himself in a position where, unfortunately, Charles just went a little bit too deep and just lost that rotation with a tyre wear. I believe that we're going to see Jaime Marti pull off and come into the pits now. I would be surprised if he goes on another lap. Is he going on another lap? I think he is. My goodness. He's going for another lap on these tyres. I can assure you it'll be like driving on ice right now. Every single exit of these corners. You can see the car moving beneath him. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these drivers just turn on traction control in the latter parts of these stints on the medium tyres, because there's literally almost nothing left. I don't believe, if the plan was to get to 20 laps, that Jaime Marti is going to be able to do it. But I do believe that Charles might just have enough to get that 20th lap in. And you can see the gap is beginning to open. Even at the bottom end of the tires, you can see now that the Customs GT driver is beginning to really put the work in and get that gap opening up to Hi Marty, who is beginning to struggle. I really can't see much happening, but as Frankie opens the gap to 14 seconds on his fresh set of tires, and let's not forget about Josito in P8, who has actually held that to 30.4 seconds. So it's almost identical to what it was 3 or 4 laps ago between himself and Frankie. As a reference to pace, Josito is matching Frankie on pace. But we want to see what the next pit window looks like. Bezzy is also struggling, 7/10. These 3 drivers were together. They were together, and now at the end of the tire life, it's beginning to open up. There's no way he stays out. He certainly has to be coming in. He is coming in. Jaime Marty has had to come in on lap after 18 solid laps, or 19 laps in the book for Jaime Marty. Has had to come in and make his change to the medium tires. What can he do with 49% fuel left? And where is he going to come out in relation to Josito, who made the earlier pit by approximately 5 laps? Has got 5 laps in fresh mediums under his belt. Where is he going to come out, and what's that going to mean for him? What's it going to mean for Charles, who is really sitting in the driving seat right now, figuratively and literally, in terms of executing upon his strategy? Is he considering going another lap on the mediums? That'll be the big decision he has to make right now. Does he risk one more lap on the mediums? You can see the times are coming down into the 37s and the high 36s. High 36 in his lap 19. I think the slower lap occurred due to the field overtake through the Senna S's. But 16 seconds to P1. Bezzy clinging on 2.2 seconds. Also struggling on his tires a little bit, but they are having to run these down. Does Charles make the move now to bring this one in for his pit stop, which would be indicative potentially off the 2-stopper strategy? Or does he go on? It looks like he's coming in. He is coming in, and Bezzy's coming in. But Bezzy, it looked like Bezzy potentially crossed the pit line there. I hope it wasn't, but it looked like it potentially was. And we can see that even with an additional lap of fuel used to get the 20 laps in by Charles, he has 4% more fuel than Visceral Esports Jaime Marty. So he's got an extra lap on the mediums, and he had 4% more fuel with 1 lap more done. That would suggest to me that somewhere in the region of about 2 seconds of gain just on fuel alone, not to mention being able to extend the stint. But where do they come out? And Bezzy has come out on the soft tire. Faraz has come out in the soft tire. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so difficult to follow, but very, very exciting. We've got so many alternate strategies going on now. People are going for the softer tire on the middle stint of the race. I think Charles will figure that out pretty quickly. He's going to be losing literally about 2 to 3 tenths per corner in this race. I think he will open the door and understand he has to let him pass and has to let him through. Doesn't have to, but it might be in his interest for his strategy to let him go without much of a fight. We saw these drivers all race very clean with each other Monday night, raced in very, very good spirits. I don't anticipate anything differently tonight. They're all about the strategy, leaving the door open. Does he give it to him on the inside here? I think he will give it to him inside. Lovely work from these 2 drivers. The lights went on, said, on you go, Bezzy, you run your race, I'll run mine. And here we have Jaime Marty, who is now 2 seconds to Vickerman and 2.3. So that was a 4.5 second swing between that 1 lap and pit stop for Charles and Jaime Marty, based upon the fuel and the ability to get the extra lap done on the medium tires. Now Isles, Mr. Alf, he has extended his stint to 21 laps. Absolutely outstanding. That is incredible. Down to 47% of fuel. That's actually very, very good for the Spaniard, for the Isles Esports team. For him to be able to get 21 laps out of the mediums is absolutely outstanding, and could pay dividends for him later on in the race. We've got Lewis He is on a fresh set. We're pitting on lap 20. He's obviously, a lot of these drivers are looking for the 2 stints, I imagine, on the mediums. But then we have to have a look at Josito. Josito was the driver who was potentially going for the 3 stints on the mediums, potentially 9-second gap to Bezzy, which is 11 seconds to Charles, who's on the alternate strategy. So what will this mean for Josito running his race? So we've got 3 real converging strategies here. We've got a soft starter who started on softs, got 15 laps, went to the mediums, has got back up to a 30-second gap. We had a medium starter in Josito, made his way through the pack, pitted lap 15, got another fresh set of mediums, 8 laps into his stint, 30 seconds off Frankie with a soft tire compound left to go. We got Bezzy, who went on the medium, started with Josito, Charles, Jaime Marti, and he has pitted for a soft set of tires. Will be chasing down the Spanish counterpart Kraken Stains driver and looking to eat into Frankie. So he'll have to make big moves on this particular stint to make up a lot of the deficit and be able to hold that position. You can see there his fastest lap by 2.4 seconds almost. Charles is running the more conservative, the more predictable strategy. Lap 20 pit, extended the stint, able to bring it home, fuel saved as well. Was able to gain another 4 seconds between himself and Jaime Marti, who were driving together. He will be looking for probably a second, he'll probably be looking for a tire change around lap 41-42 to the soft tire to finish on, as will Jaime Marti, who is bringing that gap down quite nicely, in fact, to Vickerman, but still 4 seconds off Charles. So that 4-second gap made in the pits. Feroz, who is also chosen for the soft tire, is going to hit into the back of this traffic of our 2 medium runners, 3 medium runners before he gets to Bezzy. So I'm not sure how successful that's going to be for himself. Whereas Lewis is on the mediums with Team Monza Racing's Garazza. The 2 of them can potentially work together, running the more standard strategy on the 2 stints on mediums to finish on the soft. So my word, it's all to play for here. It's very difficult to follow. I think I've done a pretty decent job of doing that, but let's have a little look at the points available and the points leading into the final, so you can get an indication as to what the championship implications are for these drivers. As it stands, Sim Frames Frankie in P1, who is formerly Outplayed Racing in P4, who were entering this race on 61 points. Should they bring home the 25, it puts them on to 86 points. If it stays with Josito in P2, 72 points and 18, that would put them on 90. They would still win the championship from that position in P2. It was only the top 3 teams who were able to win the championship outright with the win, irrespective of where others finish. However, it's the Customs GT driver in currently on track in P4, but has delivered the early pace on the mediums, has delivered upon the tire saving and the fuel saving strategy to gap his counterpart Jaime Marti 4 seconds. They were beside each other at the pit, if you remember. Jaime Marti, with the worn rear tires, wasn't able to extend to lap 20. 4 seconds is the difference now between these 2 drivers. Should Charles bring this home with the soft compound of tire and win the race, he will win it outright for Customs GT, irrespective of where any of the other drivers finish. So really, it's looking to me like Sim Frame Frankie, formerly OP, he can get the win. He needs other things to happen on the board to his counterparts and challengers to take the championship victory. Charles, sitting as a P3 for Customs GT, if he can pick up the win, he will win the championship. But we also have the Visceral Esports driver on 59 points. So we've got obviously Jaime Marti, who has just let the soft runner and Feroz through. Obviously a smart move. Could see that he approached them so quickly. He knew he'd be on the softs, made the smart move. They're still in with a chance. Anything can happen with an additional I think we have 50 minutes left of racing. Lewis Burton down in P8 hasn't really been able to get to grips with this track and combination so far today. Maybe that is putting an end to the potential chances of Vanquish Esports bringing home the title, but look, it's still a lot of racing to be had, still a lot of things can happen, and we haven't yet seen him put his pace down on his soft stint yet. So everybody and all to play for, but I really want to focus on the pace of Josito, who is closing in on, or has let Bezzy through, in fact. So Bezzy has caught up to Josito and just gone through. That is creating a 30-second gap between Josito and Frankie. Still retains the same. So whilst it is quite fragmented at this moment, whilst there's a lot of movement, a lot of moving parts on this leaderboard, it's all beginning to manifest, it's all beginning to ferment and bring us into something around about lap 40 to 45, where all of the strategies are going to come together, and we're going to see that absolutely outstanding coming together. Let's hope for, as Bezzy puts in the fastest sector of the race. He is on a charge, 27 seconds to Frankie. How many laps is he into his stint? Just as a reminder, we can see there that Bezzy pitting on, I believe it was, I think he pitted on lap 20 with, maybe 21, lap 20 with Charles, but went for the soft compound of tyre versus the medium of Charles. Josito doing the same, or sorry, the alternate strategy, both in mediums, but an alternate strategy to Charles, who we anticipate that Josito will be looking to come in again in the next 4 laps. I do not know if Josito will be able to extend his stint right on to 40. I just can't see that happening. I don't think that's on the cards. So I think he will have to pit again in around lap 30 to get another set of medium tires and then onto the softs for his finish. Or, you know, does he go for the soft tires on his next stint? Because one of the things they'll all be considering whenever they're looking for what they're going to be doing is having to make judgments and changes to their strategy on the fly, depending on where those drivers are, where those blue arrows are in the grid. They will have made calculations in their mind based upon how long it takes for a pit stop, and what the pit window is, how much time they will lose, as to what that means as to where they will come out on track, who they will be behind, who they will be ahead of. We saw it with Nikolai Sedzak, almost timed to perfection, came out with 2 back runners just ahead of him as he was beginning his soft stint, had to make a send into the first corner on the hairpin at Yas Marina, got the job done on both of them, and drove on to take out another 8 drivers over the course of around about 15 laps to bring home the victory with 1 lap remaining. That was an outstanding drive, so we've seen that strategy come into fruition. Will the double stint on mediums, will that, or sorry, the triple stint on mediums, will that work, or is it just too much, as Josito's getting all sorts of shapes going on with the medium tires? Feroz on his soft stint will be looking to close down to Josito, which hopefully within the next, it's got to be 2.5 laps, we'll put our 3 soft runners, medium runner for Frankie now, but had previously been a soft runner, in positions 1, 2 and 3, with Charles and Jaime Marti. Jaime Marti, you know, gaining an extra 3 or 4 tenths there on Charles, but is that indicative of some tire saving from Charles not going all out, a little bit of fuel saving as well? Let's have a little look. And Jaime Marti has really fueled a lot more. That could have been where some of the time was lost, because he seems to have overfueled for potentially saving some time for his final stint on fuel. But he is coming back into this race, just having a little look at the tires again. You can see that extra lap on Jaime Marti. Where can he get to? This is a really tricky position for Jaime Marti. Very tricky, because he didn't make the 20 laps on his first stint, had to pit lap 19. We did see that Mr. Alf, the Isles driver, was able to get 21 laps out of them, So he can potentially get to the 40 laps in the mediums through 2 stints. But if he can't and can only get another 19 laps out of these tyres, then that will mean that he will be pitting somewhere around lap 38. With lap 38 and potentially a 56 lap race, I don't know that you can do the softs for 18 laps. I don't know if that's possible, which puts him into a really tricky position right now as to where does he go. Is he stuck between strategies right now? Given that 1 lap that he wasn't able to make in the first stint, what does that mean for this stint? What does that mean for his ability to get to lap 40, to be within touch and distance of using the softs to bring him home for the race? That's where things will get very interesting. Move down the field, we've got Isles, Mr. Alf on his medium run. Garazza for Team Monza Racing again with Lewis. Vanquish Esports, the 2 drivers have been together in the second stint. 10 seconds off the pace to Jaime Marti, who are in the same race and same strategies as the drivers. So 5, 6, 7 and 8 and 9 are on the same strategy as it stands. We've got Feroz, who is taking, and is Feroz going on? We lost him there from, I thought he got into a wall there. My goodness. So Feroz is closing up on Josito. All different strategies for P1, 2, 3 and 4. So all different strategies, P1, 2, 3 and 4. The same strategies for positions 5, 6, 7 and 8. Charles is currently leading the charge of this strategy, and currently of the ones who have leveraged the soft tyre, Frankie is the best of that. Bezzy, unfortunately, his soft stint got a 1 second penalty. Haven't seen any big crashes just yet, but was closing in nicely on Frankie, who was on the medium stint. That's going to obviously impact him massively up the hill. You can see that gap opening up now on Frankie's delta. You can just see the tenths. That's painful to watch for Bezzy, who was doing an excellent job. You really don't want to be getting a penalty like that. It's going to cost you quite a considerable amount of time. You can see what did that cost him there. It cost him the guts of, going from 32.7 to 33.1. That 2 second penalty gave him 34.9. Let's call it 35 seconds. It was the guts of almost 1.8, 1.9 seconds is what it cost him in the end, which is almost an entire lap of soft lap gain. So he's lost a lap there. He's lost a lap of the soft tyre advantage just in 1 penalty. Is how punishing those penalties are. Feroz also on the softs, we can see he's floating around the 33.8s, 33.7s at the moment, which is a little bit slower than what I think Frankie was able to do. And Charles is very, very consistent there in the mid 35s, low 35s, and you just see that's a sign of a very, very consistent driver, where the times are just dripping off by a tenth here or a tenth there. You can just see the consistency with what he's doing with his work. But Jaime Marti, it's interesting to me that Jaime Marti would be gaining, because I imagined he would be saving more for a 21 lap stint on the medium tyres, but he's taken another 3/10 out of Charles, bringing it down to 3.2, formerly 4.2, and he did have traffic by needing and requiring to let Feroz through on the softer compound of tyre. Lap 30 in the books, over 50% off the race done. Given that it was 3 minutes, that was 2 laps, 28 laps times 2. Yep, it's looking like around about 56 laps will be where this race ends up, I imagine. If I just have a little look here now and see, we'll sit with Charles for the moment, as he seems to be this seems to be Charles' race to lose at this moment, depending on how good his soft stint goes for him. So let's have a little look at that as we sit on board with the Customs GT driver. Jaime Marti again floating around about 3.2, 3.3 seconds, but really it seems to be our top 4 or 5 drivers seem to be the ones who are potentially contending for the win. I'm just very, very interested to see if we were going to have Josito. Has Josito made his pit? He has pitted, so Josito is on that alternate strategy, but I'm not sure it's going to work for him. He is going for the 3 stints on the mediums, it appears. A 15, 15 and 15. which potentially gives him much fresher soft tyres at the end if he goes a little bit longer. What he is maybe banking on is that, and this could get very interesting, right? This could get very interesting. We saw that the soft tyre could go, if we look at Frankie, I think Frankie was able to get 14 laps, was it? Before he had to pit? 14 laps? I can't quite remember. But if some of these drivers are having to go 16 laps, could they potentially be losing 3 seconds a lap or more? Could there be a 6-second offset just in those last 2 or 3 laps because they haven't been able to get to lap 41? And is that what the driver, Josito, is banking on, is being able to carve that time out against incredibly worn softs with his much fresher softs and be able to get the moves done later on? It'll be very, very interesting to see if that is exactly what unfolds before us. But it is the Kraken Stains driver in 8th place, 1 minute off the lead, but he has done 2 pit stops. And the only person so far to have done 2 pit stops, he's picked up a 1 second penalty through the Senna S. Is so easily done to cut that corner, and that is not what he wanted on a strategy that requires such perfection in terms of no mistakes. None at all. You just cannot afford. We saw with the 1 second penalty earlier on for, I think it was for Rose or Bezzy, I think it was Bezzy, that's going to cost him about 2 seconds, which on his strategy will be absolutely massive for him. So that's very, very unfortunate for Josito. Will bring him right back in the touching distance of the deluxe driver Toro Coco, and will mean that Josito unfortunately will not be able to get the move done on the medium runner Mr. Alf, who I anticipate is on the two stopper, but unfortunately he's going to get held up in traffic here as well rather than get his move done. So that's going to put off his move for maybe another 2 or 3 laps. He really needed clean air to make this strategy work. I'm wondering how much of an impact this will have later on, because it isn't just the 2 seconds he's going to lose now. It's a case of how much time does it take for him to get back up to Mr. Alf and get himself in a position to make that move again, because it's just ahead of Mr. Alf is lots and lots of clean air to Gorazza, the Team Monza Racing driver, who's also looking for the 2 stopper, it appears. Very, very worn tyres at this stage. Wondering, will he be able to make it lap 40? Jaime Marti, by comparison, a little bit better in the tyres, still floating around the 3.3 seconds on lap 33 of this 90-minute race with 52.5 minutes gone. We're certainly well into the second half of this race, but it's around about lap 40 where we begin lap 40 to lap 44, where we anticipate it's all going to kick off. The final stops will be made, all strategies will be done, and everyone will be on that last stint dash for cash to get those points to try and get the championship home for their team. And it's the team, the Thunderlights Racing and the ERS drivers, who could play spoiler here. You know, if they were able to maintain these positions and keep that gap between the CGT driver and the Visceral driver, then it is potential that the Sim Frame Esports outfit, formerly OP Racing of Frankie Bertani, could potentially leapfrog from P4 and take home the victory for this championship that's been running for just over a month now, since before Christmas, starting with the time trial at Willow Springs, Streets of Willow, then round 1 of the racing at Willow Springs, Big Willow. We then had racing at other races at Tokyo, as well as at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in the Chevrolet, finishing up with the finals of the top 14 teams out of 28 who entered. There are your 14 teams on the screen in the right hand column, and after having carried all their points over and after the results for the Vanquish outfit, Mikolaj Sedziak bringing home the victory from Kraken Stains Cuerdo, and the third place finisher was Sigma. then the points are as they stand. Vanquish Esports 72, unfortunately, do not seem to be in contention for an outright battle for the championship at this stage. Kraken Stains GT is on the alternate strategy for Josito, has made the pass on Mr. Alf and got the job done to get his endeavours underway to try and make that work to lap 40 or 44, depending on where he decides to stop and pit. He will have run this one, so they will have run this. That obviously what they have calculated seems to be the one they prefer. They're going for that alternate strategy. The rest are going for the two-stopper, it appears, just in different orders. 3 different orders, in fact. Frankie starting on the softs, looking to finish on 2 sets of mediums. Bezzy starting on the mediums, as well as Feroz starting on the mediums, middle stint on the softs, finish on mediums. Charles, Jaime Marti, Garazza are going, and Mr. Alf going for medium softs, and Josito is looking to go medium softs. I would guess that is what he is looking to do. He could throw a curveball in here and potentially look to do something totally unforeseen, but it's looking that way to me at the moment. 4 seconds off Garazza, puts him 18 seconds off Jaime Marti, so still a lot of work to be done over what looks to be the next 8 or 9 laps before he makes his final pit stop. But we got some pitters now, so we got Frankie in on lap 35. So he has got 20 laps on the mediums. He is going to look for a medium stint of around 21 laps to get him to the end. His fuel is going to be incredibly important here to get the fueling right. Bezzy and Feroz in on the softs, lap 36. They're looking for a medium stint now to bring them to the end. So all 3 of these runners, P1, P2 and P3, have used their softs and mediums and are all looking to finish the race on a medium stint of tyres. Who's overfueled? Bezzy 59%, 56% for Frankie. Could that 3% make an impact later on if he needs to get 21 laps out of this? Feroz is currently fueling that. Feroz, okay, so Feroz is going for softs, but for a substantially shorter stint, which would suggest to me is he potentially... Yeah, it seems to me that Feroz is going for the 3-stopper, potentially. I think, anyway. I can't quite follow that one because I don't imagine he's going to bring softs home for another 20 laps. Stranger things have happened, but I think it's going to be a case of Garazza is going to open the door and let him through here. Continue, specifically how worn those softs are, or mediums are. He should do the honourable thing. I imagine he will do the right thing by him. At the earliest possible convenience to let the door open, and you can see does the right thing. His tyres are completely shot. The fresh softs of Feroz let the Thunder Rights driver go and do his race, but it is Charles now with track position. Something must have happened to Jaime Marti. I think Jaime Marti might have had a penalty. That might have been what we saw earlier on. If we can just get this out of the way and see if there was in fact a penalty or was an excessively slower lap somewhere. 37 seconds. Don't know exactly where he has lost that time, but the gap has opened to 6 seconds. It was down at 3.2 seconds if you recall, but it's opened to 6. Frankie on the medium tyres is going to the end. This is interesting. So these 3 drivers have got Feroz. I don't know what's happened. Feroz is in again. Oh my goodness. It was a mistake. I think he's forgotten to refuel. I think he's just hit don't refuel. Unlucky for Feroz, the Thunder Rights driver. I did say I was confused by the strategy. I couldn't figure out what he was planning to do. It seems to me that he's just coming in. I don't think he needed to change tyres there, having done 1 lap. He is coming in to refuel. It's a schoolboy error, that one. We've all done it, not criticising, but unfortunately he's just got a little bit too excited and he hasn't fueled up. And he's on the mediums now. Was that by design? I don't understand what the play is here. But okay. I guess he's had to change his strategy up a little bit. He's used the soft tyre for a lap, and now he's going to be going for 20 laps to the end. Okay, maybe that was his choice. Moving on through, Mr. Alf is making his strategy work. He's going to be looking to bring another 3 or 4 laps into these medium tyres as a mid-pack runner. Josito is looking to carve out that gap to Bezzy, they're all in the mediums now. But these guys, Charles and Jaime Marty, are all both going to be looking to bring in and around lap 40 to 41 for their soft tyres to finish the race. And they will be, obviously, they will lose the track position to Frankie and Bezzy. I find it very, very interesting that Bezzy has made so much time up to Frankie. It doesn't really make sense to me that they are pretty much, yeah, they did alternate strategies, I guess. You know, one started in softs, one started in mediums, one went second stint in softs, one went second stint in mediums, and they're both together at this point. So yeah, it kind of does make sense. 10 seconds off the pace, Josito. What is he going to be able to do? He's now on the warm medium, so he'll be looking to lose as little time as possible. But how much time is he going to make up on softer tyres in laps 44 to 56 potentially? And how much time will Bezzy and Frankie be losing to him on his soft stint as he comes bearing down upon them? This is going to get very, very exciting at the moment, because Josito might make this work. Frankie and Bezzy absolutely do not want to be fighting at all. I'm sure they know the drill, as they're closing in on Jaime Marti, who is still to use his soft set of tyres, but is on very, very worn tyres. Will they catch him this lap? This is going to be Jaime Marti's in lap, and we've seen some levels of compliance in these races, but we say you don't have to do any favours here, and particularly in this situation for Jaime Marti, it's in Jaime Marti's best interests not to let these drivers through quite so easily. Potentially he may want to grief them a little bit to slow them down on his in lap, to ensure that they don't get such a free run, because he's going to have to pit for soft tyres and chase them all the way down again. And I don't know that lap 39, this is going to be a real challenge for Jaime Marti, because we talked about him being in between strategies. It doesn't look like he's going to get the 40 laps done on the medium tyres at all, and it's looking to me very much like if he does go onto the softs and come in on this lap, and he is looking like he's defending, doesn't look like he's giving anything for free at this stage. If he does in fact come in for the softs, it might be around 17 laps that he's looking down the barrel of a gun at, which would be incredibly difficult, potentially doable for a man of his caliber, and he has fought that tooth and nail. He did not give anything for free there at all. What is this going to mean for Bezzy potentially getting caught up, and is he going to have the slipstream ruined for him from Frankie? He was sitting there nicely in, and see Jaime Marti going out nice and wide. Is Jaime Marti going to bring this in now, or is he going to sit and slip and try and get another lap out of these tyres? He is going to go. He knows that he has to get that lap in. He has to get the lap 40. This is incredibly difficult. 21 laps, remember, Jaime Marti is having to do with an 8-second gap to P1 and Charles. So Jaime Marti has just continued to lose time because he wasn't able to save the tyres in that first stint, because he had to pit early. He is now in a position whereby he's slightly overfueled for this stint, but he is able to at least, seems to be, get the 40 laps in, but I imagine he will be in at the end of this lap. What can Charles extend this lap to? It looks to me like Charles has again another lap in the bag, but his fuel isn't so good. His fuel isn't looking so hot, so maybe under fueling is going to hurt Charles' stint, whereas he would like to have had a little bit of fresher soft tyres for the final stint, and he's managed the tyres, but it doesn't look like he's managed the fuel that he needed to get that lap. We don't see the percentage on the screen, just that it's flashing, but if it's flashing, that would suggest to me that it's right under a few percent there. So I imagine that Charles will be looking to come in with 40 laps in the bag and make his pit stop with an 8-second gap between himself and Jaime Marti. Now a 9.5-second gap. Jaime Marti is losing so much time on this particular in lap. He's lost a massive amount of time. He's literally lost about 2 seconds. But this is a good example as to what it means and how much time can be lost when these tires run down to the rim. They wear so well and they hold their performance for so long, but in the final couple of laps they lose it all. And that, I believe, is what our alternate strategist Josito is banking on by running a little bit longer in the mediums to get those fresh softs with all the performance in them and avoid having them run down to the rims where you're losing 2-3 seconds a lap. This is all going to get very interesting. I believe we're going to see Charles come into the pits now. Charles has gone on for that extra lap. I think it'll be this lap and done. 41 laps and then a 15 lap sprint on the soft tires. Frankie 4 seconds behind on the fresh medium tires. They're on a drive to the end, himself and Bezzy. Bezzy putting himself in a position to actually get the win for ERS. That'll be massive for them, because I know they'll be looking to really just assert themselves at the final round potentially into this championship, because ERS were down there in P12, but a win for them jumps them right up into the top half of the field, which is absolutely huge for them, with 25 points available. So that would be absolutely massive and a big spanner in the works for the other teams who thought maybe this was a foregone conclusion, which it is absolutely not. Charles bring it around now. Charles, as predicted, coming into the pits, 2% fuel, medium tires for him. It's going to be going to the softs. Hopefully doesn't forget the fuel, as we saw unfortunately from Feroz. I think Feroz forgot the fuel, unless they went for some crazy 1 lap on softs and everything else in mediums and thought that was going to work. I don't know. But let's see where this comes in. This is going to be very, very reminiscent of Monday evening. This is going to be very reminiscent of Nikolai Sedziak for Vanquish Esports coming in on this for the final stint, coming out on the soft tires. All the work to do as Mr. Alf comes in, Lewis comes in. There are the medium runners. Soft tires now, 40% of fuel to get them to the end of the race. Lap 42, how much is to be done? Frankie on track. All these drivers in position. Josito will have another pit stop to do. Frankie, 8 tenths, open a little bit of a gap, 9 tenths to Bezzy. We're going to have a little look at Charles now to see what his delta is. What gap does he have to make up? 34 seconds. It's like Monday night all over again. 35 seconds. The soft tires, 15 laps. 15 laps at 2.5 seconds. We've seen it being done once. Can it be done again? Can the Customs GT driver do what Nikolai Sedziak did on Monday evening at Yas Marina? Can he carve that gap out off the Italian driver, Frankie Bertani, for the newly formed, out of Outplayed Racing, Sim-Frame Esports? Bezzy following closer behind. Kraken Stains Josito is a 13-second gap to Frankie, which gives a 20-second gap to Charles. So a 20-second gap for Charles to Bezzy. This gets very interesting now, because if Bezzy comes in if Josito comes in as he's doing right now, as he's doing at this stage with 7% of fuel, that's crucial. That's another 2.5 seconds of time to be gained. He is potentially going to come out here on fresher softs, with potentially track position on Charles, an extra lap. He's actually made it work, and it'll be the two of the soft runners chasing down Bezzy and Frankie. This is incredibly interesting. Where is Charles on track now? Charles, is he coming through the Senna S's? I think he is about to just come round. And whereabouts is Josito? Josito is coming out now. There could be a gap of a few seconds. But what will that mean? What will that extra lap available to him mean in terms of being able to get the job done? Will he be held up in traffic? Will this pay off? Or, because it's a race to the end now, every medium runner is going to defend if they can. But that's a 1.3 seconds to Feroz, 12 seconds to Jaime Marti, 15 seconds. 15 seconds gap to Charles. Have to say, I don't know that it has worked. I don't know that it's worked, unfortunately, for Josito. I don't know that it's worked. I think Charles is the one who has made the two-stopper work with a 31-second gap, as he is all the clean air. 30 seconds to Bezzy. Bezzy still holding firm with P1 Frankie. It is very, very similar to Monday night's race, with the exception that Charles doesn't have the traffic to worry about. Charles does not have to worry about traffic in the slightest. The people ahead of him are in the position. They are net P1 and P2. You can see a 32.94 for Charles. Jaime Marti has brought the gap down. Has he underfueled potentially? No, he hasn't underfueled, but he's got that gap down to 2.3 seconds to Charles, which is very interesting, because I kind of thought that Jaime Marti might have been out of this one. Josito 14 seconds off. Can't see that working for Josito. Stranger things have happened. Not my job to make the call on that, but it's looking very much like if Jaime Marti can latch onto the back of Charles and work with him, potentially collaborate to bring that 30-second gap down. Lap 44, 1 hour 10 minutes in the books, less than 20 minutes of racing on the track at 1.5 minutes a lap, 1 minute 35 per lap. It's looking like somewhere in and around that lap, 55, 56. As Frankie continues to push the pace, looking at Bezzy, 9/10, just hanging on there. Not much of a difference. Little bit better tire wear on the fronts for Frankie. But Bezzy has substantially better fuel. That could make a big difference later on in the race, in the final couple of laps, depending on how long this goes. Remember, we don't know exactly how long it's going to go until the last couple of laps, and what that will mean for the drivers should they cross the line and have to do another lap that they hadn't planned for. What does that mean for a very acute refueling strategy? So 1.2, Frankie opening up the gap there now. He's pushing very hard, all sorts of sideways. But Bezzy does have the fuel advantage. He also has a tire advantage. Will Bezzy come back at Frankie? Charles now down to 27 seconds. How much is he going to eat into this? Let's have a little look at his best lap here. Jaime Marti 2.2 seconds behind, a 32.6 on the board for Charles versus Frankie's 35.1. So you're looking there at about 2.5 seconds really. 2.5 second difference over the next 10 laps is 25 seconds. So it's, oh my goodness, it's this one could be even closer. If it goes to 56 laps at 2.5 seconds a lap. Now I don't anticipate that Charles will be able to keep that same pace in the latter stages of his stint, but if it averages out at 2.5 seconds a lap, he will be looking to latch onto the back of our leaders in the last couple of laps, just like happened on Monday evening at Yas Marina. This is very exciting to our finale for the VEC. It's the Virtual Endurance Challenge hosted by Mach25 Gaming. Down to 25 seconds now for Charles. 2.1 seconds. 2 seconds for Jaime Marti. Jaime Marti with the fuel advantage. What's that going to mean? A little bit worse in the tire wear. Charles seems to be having to manage things a little bit more. A little bit better tires, a little bit less on fuel. What will that mean? Where is Josito? What can Josito do? They're on the same strategy. I don't think Josito is going to have it in him to make up a second of difference. He does have the pace to match 32.3 versus the 32.4 off Charles, but it's just not going to be enough to bring him back into this fight. At the moment, it is these three drivers who have the potential for the win. With Jaime Marti, can he close that 2 second gap to Charles to get himself into contention also? It seems to be it's any one of these drivers. And if we have a little look, if it were to finish this way, what would that mean for our championship? What would it mean with the rogue ERS driver, making a big impact in those points. So if P1, who is the OP Outplayed Racing, now named Simframe Racing, they were on 61 points, take home the victory, 25 points, brings them to 86 points. With P3 being Charles on 66 points and 15 brings them to 81. And P4's Jaime Marti was for Visceral Esports, 59 points, currently P4, as it stands 12 points, that would put them on 71 points. So as it stands, on the track right now, our championship leaders are the newly formed Outplayed Racing Simframe, driven by Frankie Bertani, from ERS's Bezzy. CGT Charles doing the chasing down, got that gap to 20 seconds with potentially 9 laps to go, as Charles closes right in on one of the back markers. Hopefully the alien driver will just open the door and cause absolutely no disturbance to the strategy whatsoever. Pull off the right hand side, go deep here, as he does. The Spaniards in this esports scene, they race together week in, week out. They're friends off track. They meet up at Pulpy every single year. It's a community event, and this is the type of racing we want to see. Not to put the boot into the GT World Series, but I'm going to anyway. What we've seen on track on Monday evening and this evening in terms of racing, camaraderie, sportsmanship, it is exemplary. This is what we want to see in terms of racing, the types of racing we want to see. Not, unfortunately, what we've seen in the GT World Series is not indicative of the driving standards that have been on show within the Mach25 Gaming esports scene. This is what it's all about. Really about good, fair competition, and us all enjoying our ability to race together. And as it stands, it's Charles, 17.3 seconds. 17.3 seconds. Something's happened to Frankie. Something has happened to Frankie. He has fallen off. I did not see, was there a penalty, or was there some form of a slip or a slide that has enabled Bezzy to take the lead? Now that is absolutely huge, because that is a 7-point swing to P2, which means that all of a sudden the points change again. I am not sure exactly what happened there, but he lost a substantial amount of time and has found himself now down in P2. I don't know if it was fuel, I don't know if he has looked at the fuel, if he has made some calculations, if he has decided to fall back, if he has decided to say, I need to fuel save a little bit here if I'm going to get to the end of this race. We don't know what exactly has happened there, but there has been a change of places, and Charles is down to 15 seconds to the lead. 15 seconds to the lead with approximately 8 laps to go. Puts him right in striking distance to get the job done and bring this home for victory for Customs GT. What an outstanding drive that would be, but it's all changed at the front. ERS's Bezzy, the team that maybe wasn't quite where they wanted to be up until this point in the championship, but they are now leading this race on track. No more strategy left to play, no pit stops. These are your net positions. P1, ERS's Bezzy, Simframe's Frankie, from Charles, who is chasing down lap after lap, moment after moment and corner after corner, opening that gap back up to Jaime Marti in P4, who has not been able to unfortunately latch onto the back and benefit from some of that slipstream. But as we've said before, it can all change. One penalty make a substantial difference, and it is Charles who's doing his own fastest lap of the race, controlled, as we said, mid 32 laps. Look at that, holding that mid 32 lap from lap 44 to lap 45, 46, 47, 48, a 1/10 swing either side. That is absolutely outstanding driving. That is someone who is driving to the pace that they exactly know exactly what they have to do at every moment, saving tires, saving fuel. That is absolutely precision driving, and it's down to 12 seconds now on lap 49. They're going to be heading lap 50 just in a moment with 11 minutes of racing to go. What is going to happen? We're going to have two medium runners separated by less than a second, and as Frankie is beginning to fall off the back of Bezzy. Bezzy has got the fuel advantage, slightly worse tires, slightly better tires, and more fuel than Frankie. He is extending that gap to 8/10. Frankie seems to be under a little bit of pressure right now, and what defense will he put up to Charles? Because at the moment it's It's Charles and Frankie, and what would that mean for them in terms of points in this grand final? We have Customs GT on 66 points. We have Outplayed Racing on 61 points. If Outplayed were to win this race, it would only be second place in this race. It would only be a 3-point difference, so it wouldn't quite be enough. They need to win. They need to have Bezzy in between himself and Charles. If Charles wins this outright or gets second place, Charles will get the championship. Frankie has it all to do, and at the moment, it seems like he is finding it very, very tricky to stay with Bezzy, or he might be doing a little bit of fuel saving for these last 6 laps. We've got 1 hour and 20 minutes on the clock as it stands, and at the moment, it's ERS's Bezzy is leading the charge, looking for that little bit of glory, looking to put ERS's name back in lights where they deserve to be. An esports team with many, many high-level drivers who've been around the Gran Turismo scene for years now, and it would be lovely for them. They would love to take home this victory and punctuate this championship with a victory through Bezzy. Frankie, 7.5 tenths. Charles in 7 seconds. Charles down to 7 seconds. That is less than a second a lap required. Less than a second a lap to bring it to the end. Was looking at 2 seconds per lap, but that controlled driving, that consistent driving, those mid-32s that he has been doing, slightly slowing down now on lap 49.50 to a 32.9 and a 33.3. Is this the point where the diminishing returns in the soft tire begins to kick in? How is he going to be affected? Will the ability to now carve out that gap begin to slow down? Is it going to be a second a lap now? It's 6.5 seconds to Frankie. Frankie sitting very, very comfortably with Bezzy. I don't think he'll be struggling as much as we thought, but he is very much under pressure for that fuel, and a slight tire disadvantage to Bezzy. Bezzy sitting very, very comfortably. 5.4 seconds off Frankie. 5.4 seconds on lap 51. 1 hour and 21 minutes and 23 seconds gone as we go through the mid-sector on lap 51. Unfortunately, it's looking like Jaime Marti again is making a bit of a charge. Where is he getting this pace from? He's went to 2.4 seconds, 2.2 seconds, 1.8 seconds. Is he got something to be said? Is he going to be able to make a charge? Is he going to get onto the back of these drivers and make it a 4-way battle? Obviously, Josito, he's done an excellent job. Just not enough time on the board to make that strategy work, unfortunately, but an excellent drive all the same. Followed by Garazza in P6, Isles, Mr. Alf in P7, followed by Lewis Burton in P8 to round out the top half of our field. But we're going to stay on board with the man on a mission, with the man on a charge. It's Customs GT Charles. He can see the championship. He can see that championship, and it's only 4.4 seconds ahead of him to get the job done. What sort of defense can they put up on some form of worn mediums? Worn mediums versus worn softs. It's going to be very, very tricky either way. How close can Bezzy and Frankie stick together to put up the defense and ensure the Charles driver isn't able to get past him? How much of a robust defense will they put up when the time comes? But it's down to 3 seconds now. 3 seconds is the gap. It's got to be looking like the very, very end of lap 53. I anticipate going onto the straight, potentially entering lap 53's 54's Senna curves. Might be where the moves are being made, but it's down to 2.5 seconds. My goodness, it's getting incredibly close. Charles can see it now. He can smell that championship. He is right in their fumes. He's right in their exhaust fumes, carving out deltas, carving out time. And Jaime Marti is still in this, 1.8 seconds off the back. He is in for a podium position, because whenever these three drivers, whenever they converge, when they come together, they will lose half a second every single corner they battle. There's 2 drivers to be passed, and Jaime Marti is coming back at 1.8 seconds on the Charles, 1.2 seconds. Charles must hit these drivers. He must hit these drivers at the end of Sector 1. I anticipate the move to be done before the middle sector, and that would be absolutely ideal for him. Or if he cannot get the move done, he brings Jaime Marti back into the race, and he'll be held up in traffic, and we're going to have a 4-way battle. 2 medium runners, 2 soft runners, and approximately 6 minutes left of racing. We've got Charles Under half a second, not close enough to get the move done. Will Frankie go defensive here? 3/10, not close enough. It's going to be turn 2, I think, in the middle sector. That's when the moves are going to be made. That's when the moves will be done. But Bezzy is loving this because now Frankie is having to defend. Frankie is going to go defensive because he's fighting for his own championship. I don't believe he's going to leave the door, and he has. He's left the door open. He's let Charles go through. He hasn't been able to formulate much of a defense. I imagine he believes that it was curtains for himself, and he's letting Charles through in order to grief and slow down Bezzy to bring him back into the race with Bezzy. It was a good fight for Frankie to put up the battle, but unfortunately it wasn't to be had. Charles is now right on the back of Bezzy. I'm sure Bezzy isn't going to want to give this up, but I think with 5 or 6 minutes left of racing, it's just going to be too much of an ask as Charles is looking round the outside. What a move, looking round the outside. Bezzy holds strong. Charles now looking up the inside onto the final corner. Cleanly done. Bezzy getting sideways, and Charles has taken the lead. He's played his strategy to an absolute perfection, taking the lead on lap 53 to round it out, open up a half a second gap to Bezzy in P2, Frankie in P4, but now Jaime Marti is right in the back. He's getting the moves done as well. Jaime Marti is potentially going to take out both drivers. He does! He gets both drivers in one go. And Bezzy in P3 and Frankie in P4. 1 second for Jaime Marti to Charles. This is not all over. If Jaime Marti had got held up through the centre curves, it might have put an end to his aspirations or goals of a win. But Jaime Marti is the man on form. Jaime Marti, as it's looking, might actually struggle to make it to the end of the race. We said he was potentially stuck between strategies. We said we did not know if he would be able to make it to the end of the race in the soft stint, given he was only able to make 19 laps in the first set of mediums and make it to lap 40 on the second set. The extra lap that Charles got done has made an absolute massive difference. There's potentially 2.5 laps left to go. Lap 55, lap 56 before the curtain falls. 3.5 seconds on the clock before the final flag falls. I'm not too sure if Jaime Marti is going to be able to do this. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to get this done and make it to the end of the race. He's on fumes as well, with less fuel, less tyres than Charles. Bezzy, P3. Bezzy can potentially reclaim P2. What would that be for ERS? What would that be for their title contentions? Will that put them into a commendable top half of the field from where they currently are in 12th position? And Frankie, only 3/10 off Bezzy, is now looking to make his own moves, but he's on fumes as well. Have they all underfueled? Every single one of them is in the red. Bezzy seems to have the fuel, at least a lot more than Frankie. Frankie is making the charge. He thinks it's now or never, but what is going to happen with these drivers? I cannot believe that Jaime Marti, this could be absolutely just... Jaime Marti is getting all out of shape. Like we said, once there's nothing left, that rear tyre, it gives you absolutely nothing. Jaime Marti, what can he do? This is becoming a potential disaster. This is hard to watch. He has a slither of white that might get him to the end of lap 55, but I cannot see him being able to get it round for lap 56, which is looking exactly like where this race is going to go. They're currently on this lap 43 seconds, halfway through this lap. Another 44 seconds is going to bring it to 1 minute 28 and a half. It could potentially go to lap 57. Oh my word. What is going to happen here? I cannot see him making this. He is losing hand over fist. The Bezzy is beginning to claw back now. Clawing back 10th after 10th on Jaime Marti. Oh my goodness. Frankie sitting tight. He is struggling on fuel. What a championship this has been. He should have the tyres to get him home, but what about the fuel? What does that mean for Bezzy? Jaime Marti is on nothing. He's going sideways. He's going sideways through the final corner. He will not give up. You cannot fault the heart of the man. Jaime Marti, Visceral Racing's Jaime Marti, a winner last night in the Gran Turismo World Series, a return to form for the man who came on the scene in the 2023 GT World Series exhibition season. He won almost all the races, if not all of them, winning this season. Hasn't shown that pace. Bezzy having to go defensive from Frankie. Frankie making the move around the outside. It's all go here. Jaime Marti is sideways. He's got nothing left. Nothing at all in that rear tyre. The flag has not come down. There's one minute and 10 seconds left for that flag to come down. The flag might come down meters from the line, and Charles may find himself in a position where he ends up having to go an extra lap himself. But does he end up having to slow down to ensure it doesn't go an extra lap? What does he want to have happen? 8 seconds is the gap. The win seems to be a foregone conclusion, but it is this battle now in the middle between Jaime Marty with absolutely nothing left, Frankie in P2, nothing left in terms of fuel. It is the absolute rims of the soft wheel, not tire, and the rims of the medium wheel, not tire. Frankie looking up the inside. Jaime Marty going sideways. Frankie gets the job done. He's back up into P2. And oh my word, the defense of Jaime Marty, he is a fighter. He is right in the pocket and not giving up. He has nothing left, but he has given everything. And it is Bezzy gets the move done on Jaime Marty. It's looking like these are going to be the positions to bring over the line. What does Charles do with a 10-second gap to go on for one extra lap? Does he have the fuel he needs to bring it home? The final lap has been called, just as we mentioned, right before the line. He gets the job done. 10 seconds. Looking like Frankie is going to get home P2. Bezzy and Josito. Where did Josito come from? Oh my word. Bezzy gets P3, Josito P4, and Jaime Marty P5. Oh my goodness, what a race. Custom GTs, Charles. You were absolutely outstanding in your strategy, and you have brought home the victory, albeit with any investigations. I can't see there being any. You have brought this title home for your team at Customs GT, winning the VEC Championship. Absolutely outstanding. Frankie, what a brilliant drive that was to watch. Bezzy taking P3. Josito taking P4. I don't know where he even came from in the end. My goodness, his fresh tyres in that last lap versus the battling rims of Bezzy, Frankie, and Jaime Marty got him into P4. And Jaime Marty, what an outstanding, brave drive. That was a brave drive to do what you just did in those last two laps. Outstanding from yourself, sir. Congratulations to everybody, but it is looking like Customs GT are your championship winners for this VEC Virtual Championship. And breathe. Whew. That was all go, guys. That was all go. I think it delivered. In spades. That was another outstanding race of different strategies coming together. But it's looking, nail biter SDS, an absolute nail biter. Good to see you in the chat, SDS. Good to see you. And we've got a couple of memberships have come in to the channel. Ricardo Torres and Balila. Welcome to the channel. Another outstanding race. Oh, thank you so much, Jackson. That's very kind of you. I don't like reading that, but thank you. I won't read it out loud, but thank you so much. What a race, guys. It's the same. My goodness, the last two races, the final stints it's just all action. I can't believe what I've seen there. But as it stands, just going back to the info, congratulations all drivers. Going back, this was our points going into it. You know, we've got the Customs GT driver on 66 points. That's 25 points, 81 points for themselves. Kraken Stains. If we look at the points, it's a foregone conclusion. There's 2 bonus points for a clean race. I can't see. Not my job to make this call, of course, but pending any investigations, I didn't see any contacts. I didn't see any, robust behaviour between drivers. In fact, if anything, it was exemplary driving from all drivers concerned. A good, a great level of sportsmanship shown and doing their teams a great service in showing what they're all about and how they drove with each other as well, in terms of skill, sportsmanship, and just a fantastic race and series put on again by Mach25 Gaming. That was your final. Any comments from yourselves in chats? Thank you so much, SDS. That's really appreciated. It's very kind. Barring, again, any changes, I believe it's going to be Customs GT 2026 Virtual Endurance Challenge winners. What an honour for me to be in a position to call these races. They are exceptionally exciting, but it's also very difficult to speak by yourself for 90 minutes. But I do my best. Not perfect. I do my best to try out the combos, get a feel for them, learn a bit about the strategy, what can happen, and try and convey a little bit about what these drivers might be feeling or experiencing in the moment to yourselves. If I've done that, in any shape or form tonight or in the past couple of races, for those of you who've been kind enough to show up and support these drivers and this event, then that's good enough for me. Other than that, again, a congratulations to everyone who showed up, everyone who took part, all teams, those who qualified for the qualification rounds, those who didn't but turned up and raced in the best of spirits, those who have driven, those who have won, those who didn't win but learnt, because you either win or you learn. And what a 2026 season this first championship has set up for Mach25 Games. I'm Flash Dagger. That's all from me. I, in traditional fashion, will be rounding out this evening's endeavours with a well-earned Domino's pizza and a little fresh Diet Coke, because, my word, am I famished. So that's all from me, guys. Have a very, very good evening. If I don't see you anytime soon, look after yourselves, and I hope life treats you well. Have a good one. Take care.
Flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make them stop. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it. Make it sweet, make it sweet. Make it sweet, 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 make it sweet. Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. 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 Pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it. Make it sweet, 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 make it sweet. Flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Rudy by the weak loss, that's my drip. Rudy got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it.
Make it sweet. 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 Make it sweet.
Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make 'em stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it.
Make it sweet. 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 Make it sweet.
Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make 'em stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it.
Make it sweet. 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 Make it sweet.
Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make 'em stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it.
Make it sweet. 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 Make it sweet.
Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty down your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make 'em stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase it.
Make it sweet. 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 Make
sweet. Chat about the flow now, quick like clockwork. Got swagger up, move smooth, yeah, I work. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Booty by the weak loss, that's my drip. Booty got your cheek loss, that's my drip. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so sick, got to chase it. Rhymes at speed, no need to pause. Style so clean, yeah, I'm my own boss. Keeping it sweet, make them all stop. 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 Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace, basic, can't replace it. Move quick, so slick, got to chase. Fast pace.